Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Clip Studio Paint tutorial. So in this tutorial, what I wanted to do was show you guys how you guys can use the 3D models in Clip Studio Paint to help you guys draw your characters to get all the proportions right. So I know a lot of people think that using 3D models is considered cheating. Um, I don't consider it cheating. I pretty much just think 3D models are a tool, just like any other tool um, that an artist would use, including a real life doll or or like a felt tip pen. Um, I mean, artists used to use the little quill pins, the ones that used to look like this. I mean, some artists still use them, but I think most artists don't use these anymore because we've advanced so much. So now we use just a regular pin. And that's pretty much the way I see 3D models. Uh, when you use digital art, when you use these 3D models, it's just another tool. It's if you don't have a talent for drawing, you 3D models is not going to help you uh, draw, or it's not going to help you go from something amateurish to something professional. It's you need to have the talent to draw. You can certainly improve your art by practice, of course, um, but if you just don't have that initial talent, just plopping down a 3D model is not going to take you from amateur level to Jim Lee level. So what I do is I use the 3D model to help me get my proportions right when I draw a figure. So let me just so basically I come here to where your 3D models are, and you just drag one in. If you want to know how to manipulate a 3D model, I'll have a link in the description of a video that I did on how to manipulate 3D models. But for right now, I'm just going to take this model here, and I'm just going to manipulate it so that it looks a little bit more to what I like my figures to look like. So superhero figure, and so I'm just gonna mess around here. I'm gonna get rid of those blue lines because I don't like the blue lines. Again, if this is moving too fast, there's a link in the description how to manipulate 3D models so that you can manipulate it any way you want. Okay, so I have some poses here that I've already saved. So let's see, which one do I want to use? I got this one called Hero Landing. I don't want to use that one. How about Spider-Man? That's Spider-Man crawling. Let's see here. Oh, here's a good one. This is here's a pose that is Superman in Action Comics #1, where he's lifting a car. Let's just, I want to fix it a little bit, and then we can move on to there we go, hold on. Let's just get it a little bit more this way. So the hand here. Actually, if he's holding something up, it would probably be bent this way. Alright. So once you get your figure however you want to manipulate it, the pose, what you want to do now is obviously pick an angle that you want to draw your superhero. So I'm going to pick something, I think this is good because it shows a lot of his torso and his legs here, both his legs separated. So, okay. So now, usually what I do is I lower the opacity of the 3D model layer, and I put a layer on top of that. And so here's where people think that using 3D models is cheating, because you think, I mean, you can certainly just go ahead and take your pen and just start drawing. You know, everything's here already, so blah blah blah. So you can, and they'll say, oh, you're cheating, you're using a 3D model. Well, I mean, for me, that's again, this is a tool that an artist would use to get his proportions right, because what a traditional artist, like pen and paper artist, what they would have is just that. It's just a clean sheet of paper, and then they would start drawing, oh, here's the head, and then draw the neck, and draw the torso, right? I'm going kind of fast here because I don't want to take too much time. But the thing about this is, if you're kind of new to art, or to drawing superheroes, or drawing in general, some of this stuff may not come easy to you, and so, I mean, sometimes it doesn't. Even for me, I've been drawing for a little bit now, and some of this stuff just sometimes it just doesn't come easy to me, right? So now if I turn on my 3D model, okay, I got some of it correct, but what 3D models helps me is it helps me keep everything in proportion. Like my head may be bigger than it should be for this size torso. So instead of taking, you know, the lasso tool and constantly manipulating my my drawing, you know, I could easily just I could have easily just used the 3D model instead and just pose it, right? And so not only that, but what the 3D model also allows me to do is it allows me to manipulate the camera. So instead of drawing 100 of these sketches in different angles and different camera positions, all I got to do is just make one 3D model, and then I can just choose whatever position or camera angle I want, and I don't have to constantly draw it over and over and over again. And so that's one of the things I love about the using 3D models. Now again, the talent is still needs to come from you. So like I said, once you have your 3D model set up how you want, you can take a new raster layer on top, and what I like to do is come over here, hit this little blue square here, and what that little blue square does is whatever you take your I usually just use a G pen. I don't mess with the pencils, so whatever when you hit this blue square here on this layer, you'll see this little blue color here. So whatever you draw on this layer will be blue, no matter what color you have down here. It will be a shade, some shade of blue, right? I keep it in black because it's the darkest blue. And this is, you know, what artists in comic books use, a blue line, because blue lines don't show up when you make photocopies. So then all you got to do now is these features here can help you, but they're not going to put an expression on your character's face. So what I like to do is just pretty much just get an idea of where everything is. So I know there's the mouth there. Here's an eye here, eyebrow here, cheekbones there. I don't worry about the hair because I'll do that later. And as far as the ear goes, I just do the outline of the ear and then the jawline. And that's it. That's all you need. So there's your head, and then so this will give you an idea of where things are when you start drawing the actual drawing of your character. And so what I like to do with 3D models here is just outline exactly just an idea of where this stuff are. Now Clip Studio Paint, what it doesn't do is, like, his arm is stretched up, which means his bicep should also be stretching upwards, but Clip Studio Paint doesn't do that. So you got to be aware of that when you're using the 3D model. So his pectoral muscle will be something like this, and then see his shoulder is kind of wonky, so I'm just gonna round it up a little bit, and then here. Then his bicep, you can make it bigger than there. His forearm. Okay. So yeah, you kind of have to know some human anatomy. Again, the 3D model is again just a tool. It's not gonna tell you everything. It's not going to draw the character for you. Again, you need that talent. So I'm just going to finish it up here, and then I'll probably speed this up when I'm editing. So that's about it. Alright, so this is probably as far as I'm going to take it. So once you have that, you can turn off and on your 3D model, just to make sure you feel comfortable that you got everything that you need from the 3D model. So once you feel comfortable that you got everything, you can pretty much just leave the 3D model off. That's pretty much it. And of course, this is not your final. So you can see, like, something like this looks a lot better than something that if you had tried to do it on your own. I'm going to take a little bit slower on this one. I know I've already done this before. And that's another thing. If you do it this way, like the traditional way, nothing against it. I mean, if you're at that level of that you can do it like this, that's great. But again, even me, somebody. I mean, I'm not the greatest artist, but I've been told that, hey, your stuff's pretty good. Why don't you do this or that? But even for somebody like me, you know, it just doesn't. To me, it doesn't feel right. I'm always my worst critic, and so so if you look at this compared to this, you know, this is much better because I know I used the 3D model that everything is well proportioned. Like this arm here is the same size as this arm, but because it's at different angles or a different viewpoint, it may look larger or smaller or whatever, but I know it's right because the 3D model was consistent all the way around. Whereas when you look at something like this, I may have drawn this arm the same size as this arm, but in real life, this one should have been slightly smaller, or I drew the head bigger than the torso. In fact, I think I always do this. I always draw the head much bigger than what the torso. See, here you have a much smaller head compared to the torso, and the neck is longer. Yeah, you see. So this is why I like using the 3D models. Now, a lot of people think that artists just use a 3D model by throwing them in there and then just, you know, tracing the little details and coloring it and stuff like that, and they're done. But I mean, you can do that if you're okay with that. But what I like to do is I just like to use it to throw down so I can get my proportions correct. And that's what I recommend. So the next thing I do is just turn down the opacity for the blue lines, and then create a new layer, and we're just going to leave it like that. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to use these blue lines here to draw our detail. Now, this is where I said your talent comes in, really, because depending on what kind of face you want to give them, if you want to give them a snarling face or whatever you want to give him, that's where you, as the artist, need to put your talent to work. So I'm just gonna draw something up real quick. I don't know who I'm drawing here. But you see, I'm not following the blue lines exactly. I'm just using them as a reference. Just to guide me to where everything is. So I know his ears here. And then you can draw these little details on the ear, his jaw. He's got a cheekbone here. Let's see what kind of hair. So his hairline should come around here, something like this. And even this can be a pre-sketch. It doesn't have to be that great. give him kind of a Superman kind of curly Q there. However you want to make it look. Get this Adam's apple. And so then that's when you know, your character will start to take shape. Now I know his shoulder muscle here. He's got his bicep. Kind of going a little fast here. And again, so this is all going to be depending on your type of style. So like if your artwork looks like Jim Lee's, then good on you. But it's not going to look like a 3D model because, like I said, you didn't. The only thing you using the 3D model is for to make sure you get all your proportions correct. It pretty much like sets up a nice base for you to start. So this will help you out if you're drawing superheroes and you can't get that right, you know, you can't get that right pose or proportions correctly, or if the angle of your scene that you want to create is throwing you off, or you don't know how something would look like in front of something else, that using the 3D models really helps. And so the next step, of course, is delete the blue lines. Now you can do this as much as you want. See, you can see here his abs here. I could leave it like that, or I can turn this back on and I can see that. Oh, okay, I can maybe add some lines here, maybe add a line here, turn it off, and you can see more his abs. They're more defined now. And so now you can do the same thing again, and you can lower the opacity, add another layer, and start to you know, just clean it up, make it look. Oh, and so see how it's black, and then this is also black. You can go back to the layer, hit the blue thing again, and now it's blue lines again. So you go back to the layer, and I don't know, you can keep polishing it up. You know, let's put a symbol on his chest here. Well, the Superman symbol is the easiest one for me to think of right now. Right, so you can do that. Even though this guy doesn't look anything like Superman. Maybe it looks like his evil brother. You know, cape will be like that. Still has his shoulder here. I think it's his face. His face is really making it non-Superman-esque. He's got that smiling face. We can fix that. I guess Soup is not having a good day. Lex Luthor's up to his old tricks. I'm not the best when it comes to drawing hair, so I think I'm just going to forget about the details in the hair. Just draw it as one mass. Got some of that. Also, the less lines you put on people's faces, the younger they look. So yeah, a lot of times, most of my time is spent on the face of a character. And I don't know if, well, I mean, that's because, you know, most people, I think, pay more attention to the face than anything else. So again, I'm just using the blue lines as a reference, and then you can, using your own art style. Oh, I want that one. Using your own art style, it's really gonna, it's what dictates what your drawing is gonna look like. And you don't, like I said, they're reference lines, so you don't have to draw this here. Kind of looks a bit wide for me, so I'm just gonna maybe slim him down a bit, even though, you know, that's not what the 3D model was showing. But again, those are just reference tools. You can pretty much make it, use a artist's discretion, make decisions on the fly, just so you can interpret or get the point across to your audience what exactly you're trying to convey to them. So, and that's the whole idea of art, is to convey your message. That's what any art form is. It's basically communication. Whether you're talking physical art, performance art, music, whatever, you name it, all art is communication. And so yeah, that's basically it right there. And so there's you a Superman. I mean, I could have spent more time on the face, made it more Superman-esque, I guess. But I mean, you get the idea, you know. And then I'm not really good at inking, but that's pretty much what I wanted to convey with this video. Is so we went from a 3D model, and then we we created this blue outline, and then after we created this blue outline, we lowered the opacity, of course, and then created a new layer. And then in this new layer, we created this rough draft, I guess you can call it, a rough draft. And after creating that, you can lower the opacity and turn it blue. Create another layer where you can then get this final sketch. And I mean, if you're happy with this, you can go with this, or again, like I said, I went really quick, so the lines aren't as polished as a final something you want to submit as a final drawing. But yeah, that's basically how you go from a 3D model to something that hopefully you can use in a comic strip or a comic book. So yeah, you can see here again, I deviated from the 3D model. I made him much skinnier in the waist. And so yeah, hopefully you guys learned something from this. And if you liked it, make sure you hit the like button and share the video if you think it'll help somebody you know. And yeah, I hope to see you guys in the next one.